How's it going, guys? TJ Bennett here and welcome back to the channel. Today we'll be looking at polymorphism. Polymorphism is a term that describes a single instance of an object that represents different types. There's a few ways of achieving polymorphism in C#. The first way we'll look at is inheritance. For example, we have a class person. It contains a first name and a last name, and it also contains a method called display that'll print their first and last name. Now say if we wanted to create an employee class and have it inherit from the class person, it would look like this. To add inheritance to a class, add a colon to the class and type in the class that you want to inherit from. It's important to note that a class can only inherit from one other class. In our employee class, we have a variable called yearly income. When we instantiate a new employee in our main method and use dot notation to see what data members are available, we can see that it contains data members for both employee and person. Inheritance allows you to create a child class that contains additional data or functionality from a parent class. And in doing this, we achieve polymorphism because we're looking at a single instance of an employee class and it includes functionality from the person class. Now I want to create a collection of people, and up until now I've been using arrays, but I want to introduce a new way of creating a collection. It's called a list. The list syntax will look like this. We declare a list person, then call the list people, and instantiate it with a new list of person. Let's create a person and give them a first and last name. Now we can add this person to our list. We'll type people and use dot notation to see the different functionalities of a list. Lists are very powerful and have more functionalities than arrays. Here we see there is an option to add. We'll just provide P1 as a parameter. Next, let's create an employee and give them a first and last name and also a yearly income. Now since the employee class inherits from the class person, they can also be added to the list of people. We can then use a for loop to loop through each person and display their name. You'll notice that you can use similar syntax like an array to index the collection. A simpler way of looping through a collection is by using a Foreach loop. This reads, for each person and people, display their name. Now let's take this to the next level. Employee has an additional data member called yearly income. We can loop and call the display method for every person in the list, but let's see how we can have the employee of the list also print their yearly income. We can achieve this by making the display method a virtual method. Basically, we add the virtual keyword to the display method, and what this allows us to do is override what the method does when used in a child class. So in this example, we'll add the display method to the employee class. Next, we'll add the override keyword to the display method. And lastly, add the yearly income to be displayed along with the first and last name. Now when we run this code, we loop through every person in our collection and have each person called display. The employee calls their overridden version of display that includes the additional details. In our example, employee inherits data members from person and overrides the person's display method. Let's make the person class have requirements if another class wants to inherit from it. We can achieve this by using the abstract keyword. We'll add the abstract keyword to the class and its data members. It's important to note that when using abstract methods, you will not define the method's logic, only that inheriting classes will require a method by that name. It's still necessary to use the override keyword and the inheriting class. So if you have a collection of children classes with the for each loop for them to call their inherited method, you'll know for sure that the method was implemented because it was required by the abstract class. If you're following along in the series, implement an additional item in your vending machine app, and if that item is selected, require additional input for that item. For instance, if it's a rose, after selected it'll ask what color, and then how many roses would you like. When the user checks out or runs out of funds, have a display for the receipt of all the items they purchased. If you want to be notified each time I make a video, feel free to subscribe and click on the bell icon to be notified when I upload a new video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.